Before we get into today's subject, let me first read out a few well-known Bones members, just so you can get a grip on the enormity of this club, organization, or secret society. Let me begin. Among prominent alumni are former President and Chief Justice William Howard Taft, the founder's son, former presidents, father and son, George H.W. Bush and George W. Bush, Chauncey Depew, president of the New York Central Railroad System and a United States Senator from New York, Juan Terry Tripp, founder and CEO of Pan American World Airways, Pan Am, Joseph Gibson Hoyt, the first Chancellor of Washington University in St. Louis, Supreme Court Justices Morrison R. Waite and Potter Stewart, James Jesus Angleton, mother of the Central Intelligence Agency, Henry Stimson, the U.S. Secretary of War from 1940 to 1945, Robert A. Lovett, U.S. Secretary of Defense from 1951 to 1953, William B. Washburn, Governor of Massachusetts, and Henry Luce, founder and publisher of Time, Life, Fortune, and Sports illustrated magazines, John Kerry, former U.S. Secretary of State, and former U.S. Senator Stephen A. Schwarzman, founder of the Blackstone Group, Austin Goolsbee, chairman of Barack Obama's Council of Economic Advisors, Harold Stanley, co-founder of Morgan Stanley, Frederick W. Smith, the founder of FedEx. All are reported to be members. In the 2004 U.S. presidential election, both the Republican and Democratic nominees were alumni. George W. Bush wrote in his autobiography, quote, "In my senior year, I joined Skull and Bones, a secret society, so secret I can't say anything more." When asked what it meant that he and Bush were both Bonesmen, former presidential candidate John Kerry said, "Not much, because it's a secret." So, nothing to worry about then. Let's get a little deeper. Skull and Bones, also known as the Order 322, or the Brotherhood of Death, is an undergraduate senior secret student society at Yale University in New Haven, Connecticut. The oldest senior class society at the university, Skull and Bones has become a cultural institution known for its powerful alumni and various conspiracy theories. It is one of the big three societies at Yale, the other two being Scrolling Key and the Wolf's Head Society. The society's alumni organization, the Russell Trust Association, owns the organization's real estate and oversees the membership. The society is informally known as Bones, and members are known as Bonesmen, members of the order, or initiated to the order. Skull and Bones was founded in 1832 after a dispute among Yale debating societies, Linonia, Brothers in Unity, and the Calliopean Society over that season's Phi Beta Kappa Awards. William Huntington Russell and Alphonso Taft co-founded the Order of the Skull and Bones. The first senior members included Russell, Taft, and 12 other members. The society's assets are managed by its alumni organization, the Russell Trust Association, incorporated in 1856 and named after the Bones co-founder. The association was founded by Russell and Daniel Coit Gilman, a Skull and Bones member. The first extended description of Skull and Bones, published in 1871 by Lyman Bagg in his book 4 Years at Yale, noted that the mystery now attending its existence forms the one great enigma which college gossip never tires of discussing. Brooks Mather-Kelly attributed the interest in Yale senior societies to the fact that underclassmen members of then freshman, sophomore, and junior class societies returned to campus the following year and could share information about society rituals, while graduating seniors were, with their knowledge of such, at least a step removed from campus life. Skull and Bones selects new members among students every spring as part of Yale University's TAP Day, and has done so since 1879. Since the Society's inclusion of women in the early 1990s, Skull and Bones selects 15 men and women of the junior class to join the Society. Skull and Bones taps those it views as campus leaders and other notable figures for its membership. A 2009 view of the tomb from across the High Street. The architect was possibly Alexander Jackson Davis or Henry Austin. Architectural historian Patrick Pinnell includes an in-depth discussion of the dispute over the identity of the original architect in his 1999 Yale campus history. Pinnell speculates that the reuse of the Davis Towers in 1911 suggests Davis's role in the original building, and conversely, Austin was responsible for the architecturally similar brownstone Egyptian Revival Grove Street Cemetery gates built in 1845. Pinnell also discusses the tomb's aesthetic place in relation to its neighbors, including the Yale University Art Gallery in the late 1990s. New Hampshire landscape architects Saucier and Flynn designed the wrought iron fence that surrounds a portion of the complex. The Society owns and manages Deer Island, an island retreat on the St. Lawrence River. Alexandra Robbins, the author of a book on Yale secret societies, wrote, "The 40-acre retreat is intended to give bonesmen an opportunity to get together and rekindle old friendships. A century ago, the island sported tennis courts and its softball fields were surrounded by rhubarb plants and gooseberry bushes. Catboats waited on the lake. Stewards catered elegant meals. But although each new Skull and Bones member still visits Deer Island, the place leaves something to be desired. Now it is just a bunch of burned-out stone buildings. It's basically in ruins." Another bonesman says that to call the island rustic would be to glorify it. It's a dump, but it's beautiful. Skull and Bones membership developed a reputation in association with the power elite. Regarding the qualifications for membership, Lanny Davis wrote in the 1968 Yale Yearbook, "If the society had a good year, this is what the ideal group would consist of: a football captain, a chairman of the Yale Daily News, a conspicuous radical, a whiffenpuff, a swimming captain, a notorious drunk with a 94 average, a filmmaker, a political columnist, a religious group leader, a chairman of the Lit, a foreigner, a ladies' man with 2 motorcycles, an ex-serviceman, a Negro. If there are enough to go around, a guy nobody else in the group had heard of, ever." Lanny Davis, quoted by Alexandra Robbins, quote, George W., Night of Eulogia. Like other Yale senior societies, Skull and Bones membership were almost exclusively limited to white Protestant males for much of its history. Whilst Yale itself had exclusionary policies directed at particular ethnic and religious groups, the senior societies were even more exclusionary. While some Catholics were able to join such groups, Jews were more often not. Some of these excluded groups eventually entered Skull and Bones by means of sports, through the society's practice of tapping standout athletes. Star football players tapped for Skull and Bones included the first Jewish player, Al Hesburgh, class of 1938, and African-American player Levy Jackson, class of 1950, who turned down the invitation for the Berzelius Society. Yale became co-educational in 1969, promoting some other secret societies, such as Sir Anthony Hall, to transition to co-ed membership, yet Skull and Bones remained fully male until 1992. The Bones class of 1971's attempt to tap women for membership was opposed by Bones alumni, who dubbed them as the Bad Club and quashed their attempt. The issue, as it came to be called by Bonesmen, was debated for decades. The class of 1991 tapped 7 female members for membership in the next year's class, causing conflict with the Alumni Association. The Trust changed the locks on the tomb, and the Bonesmen instead met in the Manuscript Society building. A mail-in vote by members decided 368 to 320 to permit women in the society, but a group of alumni led by William F. Buckley obtained a temporary restraining order to block the move, arguing that a formal change in bylaws were needed. Other alumni, such as John Kerry and R. Insley Clark Jr., spoke out in favor of admitting women. The dispute was highlighted on an editorial page of the New York Times. However, a second alumni vote in October 1991 agreed to accept the class of 1992, and the lawsuit was dropped. Judith Ann Schiff, Chief Research Archivist at the Yale University Library, has written, "The names of its members weren't kept secret, That was an innovation of the 1970s, but its meetings and practices were. While resourceful researchers could assemble member data from these original sources, in 1985, an anonymous source leaked rosters to Anthony C. Sutton. This membership information was kept privately for over 15 years, as Sutton feared that the photocopied pages could somehow identify the member who leaked it. He wrote a book on the group, America's Secret Establishment, an introduction to the Order of Skull and Bones. The information was finally reformatted as an appendix in the book Fleshing Out Skull and Bones, a compilation edited by Chris Milligan and published in 2003. The number 322 appears in Skull and Bones insignia and is widely reported to be significant as the year of Greek orator Demosthenes' death. A letter between early society members in Yale's archives suggests that 322 is a reference to the year 322 BCE, and that members measure dates from this year instead of from the Common Era. In 322 BC, the Lamian War ended with the death of Demosthenes, and Athenians were made to dissolve their government and establish a plutocratic system in its stead, whereby only those possessing 2,000 drachmas or more could remain citizens. Documents in the tomb have purportedly been found dated to Anno Demostheni. Members measure the time of day according to a clock 5 minutes out of sync with normal time. The latter is called barbarian time. One legend is that the numbers in the society's emblem 322 represent founded in 32, second corps, referring to a first corps in an unknown German university. Members are assigned nicknames, e.g. Long Devil, the tallest member, and Boaz, a varsity football captain, or Sharif, Prince of the Future. Many of the chosen names are drawn from literature, e.g. Hamlet or Uncle Remus, Religion and Myth. The banker Lewis Lapham passed on his nickname, Sancho Panza, to the political advisor Tex McCrary. Averell Harriman was Thor, Henry Luce was Baal, McGeorge Bundy was Odin, and George H.W. Bush was Magog. So, what is with these secret societies? Is it just a bunch of posh boys having fun, or is there more to it? Sleep well, people of the world.